Okay, good night, everybody. Welcome to Therapy Thursday, put on by Sisters for Sisters, your weekly dose of uh, therapeutic empowerment and upliftment. As always, as we're keeping on course with this season's demands, that we always will be having a guest to talk about something that keeps with our theme for the year: ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Moving away from this idea that celebrities are the only people that do things extraordinary and that we should be following celebrity and looking for to celebrity for all of what we should do or not do, instead of looking right in our own neighborhoods, right in our own communities, right in our own backyards for the people who are doing extraordinary things that can be therapeutic for us and our communities. So again, I'm Dr. Ron Osborne Williams, the the resident therapist of Therapy Thursday for Sisters for Sisters, Tanika and the whole board out there. As you're watching, if you're getting on, that's great. People, you didn't see us for a couple of weeks. It's summertime, all kinds of, end of the year, graduations, all those things come into play. And remember, we I know we run the show, but we still got obligations to the rest of the world too. So we sometimes will not might not make it. As you can see, Mom Fawn is right now on double duty, mom duty, back and forth. So, but she's here. She's dedicated. She's here. So again, I'm gonna let Fawn introduce herself as always. Then Thailand, and then Thailand is gonna introduce our guest today, and and shed light on what we're gonna be talking about today with this phenomenal guest we have.
Hello, family. I feel so good to be back. Again, I'm multitasking today with my favorite chick, my daughter. That's my favorite person in the whole wide world. So I'm happy to be here with her. And I'm actually happy to be back on this Therapy Thursday. I feel like when I'm missing Therapy Thursday, I'm missing my own little dose of therapy. Um, and so I'm happy to be back and ready to dive into the conversation tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way, Fawn. I miss you, Fawn. I miss the group. I miss Therapy Thursdays. It's a form of therapy for me, too. I am Tylon Xavier Washington. For those who don't know, I'm a filmmaker and activist, and I use my filmmaking and creativity as a form of my activism, telling important stories and narratives that changes the narrative of mainstream will have you think about us. And this is another reason why this show is so important. And it's just great to be back, guys. And I think when we're coming back with a bang with this guest. I'm looking at his resume, his bio. Man, I hope we can get to all of these various accolades and accomplishments that this brother brings to our platform today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to announce Ricky Petty Sr. He's an author, he's a motivational speaker, an entrepreneur, amongst many other things. And he's hailing from Boynton Beach, Florida. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Ricky Perry Sr. He wears multiple hats, as I said, with equal pride and diligence as the driving force behind a local health initiative and the successful owner of both Petty Capital Realty and Petty Investments Incorporated. He is the author of his brand new book, Beyond Petty, Embracing Dreams, Defying the Odds. Got to pick that up. Ricky is a testament to hard work and ambition. He's an alumni of Bethune-Cookman University and a distinguished member of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And while his spiritual roots are grounded at St. Paul AME Church in his hometown, Ricky's passion runs deep when it comes to enhancing the lives of children and families. And I'm telling you, he's eager to draw on his own experience to pave pathways to success for everyone else, not just for himself. His versatile career spans community engagement, youth advocacy, and licensed real estate brokerage. He lends his expertise to several organizations across Palm Beach County, gracing their boards with his presence. More than business, a mentor to numerous children and young adults. And when he's not busy making a difference, he indulges his love for sports, traveling, and most importantly, spending cherished moments with his family. Let's welcome to our platform. Let's welcome him to Therapy Thursdays, Mr. Ricky Petty. Yay, and the crowd goes wild. Welcome, brother. So glad that you are here, man. You're doing so much. I really don't know where to start, but I guess you can just give folks a little background, like how you got to, getting into all of these various endeavors. And then we'll start to talk about the book.
Okay. So like you mentioned in the bio, I'm alumni of the great Bethune-Cookman University. So prior to going to Bethune-Cookman, just had some challenges. I was able to overcome many challenges and decided to take my talents to Daytona Beach. So I went to Daytona Beach and, got my degree, and I wanted to come home and bring my talents to have an impact on my family as well as my community. Being the first to have a high school diploma and amongst many other things, I thought it would be a great idea for me to go back home and elevate my family and community. So after graduating Bethune-Cookman University, I came back and did just what I made a commitment to myself to do. Elevated my family as well as my community. My major was sociology. So I was torn between sociology and business. And because of different experiences that I went through, I wanted to kind of understand why individuals like myself,
Hey,
had to go.
can you talk about some of those challenges for the viewers? Some of the hurdles that you had to overcome, because I'm sure
Yeah.
these are tough times. A lot of people
So
are
yeah,
going
so
through a lot.
so
Yeah.
so some of the challenges
Mm-hmm.
that I overcame. So for one, growing up in a single family household,
Mm-hmm.
no positive male role models.
Mm-hmm.
Other challenges, I was a teen father, so I had my son when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was a juvenile delinquent, so I was involved with the law. And
Mm-hmm.
just being a young black man, growing
Right.
up, in the city, with all those different challenges, and the things that I experienced, I didn't think I'd see my 21st birthday, you know.
Wow.
But again, I overcame many of those, and here I am now. And of course, in the book, I talk about a lot of that, and I just kind of
Mm.
open up a little room for you to ask more questions in regard to it, just like you just did. So,
Okay.
career-wise, some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
I did, when I came back, when I graduated, got my degree, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, I'm ready to take on the world. But
Mm-hmm.
remember, I told you that I was a juvenile delinquent, so I wanted to work with DJJ, Department of Juvenile Justice. But
Mm-hmm.
because of my juvenile background, I was limited. I couldn't even get a job with DJJ. So I had some challenges trying to find employment. So one of the things that I did was I had to recognize some things about myself. Keep in mind, at the time, I still had a mouthful of gold teeth. I had gold teeth in my mouth; it was permanent. So I had the gold teeth, and I had no experience. So I had to realize some things about myself that I needed to change. So I received a letter in the mail from one of my family members that was in prison, and he wanted me to reach out to a person who worked with those that was returning back to society. So I reached out to the young lady, Miss Catherine Burns, and I spoke with her, and I told her about my cousin. Then before we got off the phone, I was like, Miss Burns, I'm having some issues finding employment, and partly because of my background. So she
Right.
invited me to come in and speak with me. We went in, talked, chopped it up, and she was like, Ricky, I don't have employment for you right now, but one of the things I could do is help you. So she allowed me a space where I can come in and volunteer. So I worked with Mrs. Burns for about 3 months. I went in, volunteered, 3 days a
Mm-hmm.
week from 9 to 2 p.m. And a
Mm-hmm.
position came available. Ms. Burns was like, hey, Ricky, I got a position available. Would you like it? Absolutely. So I took on that position. And let's say from that point on, I haven't had one job ever since. I always had two or more jobs. So that opportunity led to many other opportunities. And at the time, what I was doing, I was working with it was a program called PEG, which was an acronym for Probation Educational Growth. So I worked with
Mm-hmm.
those that was on probation and kind of helped them. So Catherine Burns was working on another grant opportunity, and she was working on a grant called the Safari Grant. And basically, that was an acronym for serious and violent offenders. And basically, this grant was allowed me to work with offenders, like some of the roughest, toughest offenders that was returning back to Palm Beach County. These offenders were between the ages of 18 and 35 who have committed a serious or a dangerous crime, meaning murder, rape, all those different types of things. So she was working on that. So at the time, the PEG program ended. So in the midst of that, I was trying to find employment, and Catherine Burns was like, "Ricky, hold on, it's coming. The grant's gonna come soon." So I ended up getting a job with another organization, and this job was mentoring kids that had a parent incarcerated. So I was my objective and goal was to match children with mentors, with children who had a parent that was incarcerated. So the day I took that job, I get a call from Catherine Burns. "Hey, Ricky, guess what? We got the grant, and I want to hire you for this position." So I was like, Miss Burns, I really can't take the position because I just signed a commitment with this other organization, and I'm a loyal person. So I didn't want to renege on them. Although the job that Mrs. Burns had was paying twice as much as the one that I took. So Miss Burns was like, "You know what, Ricky? I also," so I was like, "God, so that was tough to swallow." But Miss Burns said,
Yeah, right.
She was like, "You know what? This job, we also have a part-time position. You know, and it pays pretty well too. Would you be willing to accept it?" So I was like, "Let me speak with my director and see if that would be okay." So I spoke with the director of the position that I took, and they was like, "Yeah, it's cool. You can do both." So I ended up doing both jobs. Doing both jobs. I did both jobs for about 3 years, and I continued to elevate and do different things and just build my career. And like I said, from that point on, I never had less than one job at one time. So fast forward, I was always intrigued about real estate, and I always wanted to get into real estate. I always wanted more. So one of the things I did was I wanted to become a homeowner. So when I was about 26, I was able to buy my first home, and I was happy for it. So I was so happy the market was doing good. I sold it in less than 8 months. So I made a pretty good penny off of it, and I bought another home. So when I bought the second home, I got into that was during the housing crisis, and I ended up having to sell that home and short sell it. So I had a realtor, and the realtor did such a horrible job, in my opinion. When I saw the listing that she had, all it said was that I had a 3-2 with 2 mango trees. It didn't have a picture of my home or anything. So I was like, you know what? I could do better than that. So I fired her. I went and got my real estate license, and I sold my home myself. So I was my first customer. And from that point on, I continued to work in real estate. And in addition to working in real estate, I still had my 9 to 5. So, and that's one of the things I talk about in my book, and what I share, like what you do on your 9 to 5, that's what's going to help you. That's what's going to keep the food on the table, keep the bills paid. But what you do from 5 to 9, that's what's going to help you reach your dream. So for me, I kept my 9 to 5. I continued to hustle my real estate when I got off. Each commission check, I saved, and made some sacrifices there. And I continued to do that. And I started investing in real estate. So one of the things I did was I started an investment company, and that was Petty Investments. And I built this amazing business plan where I wanted to buy these properties. I wanted to actually buy them in Daytona Beach, Florida, and I wanted to rent out to college students. But at the time, I was still trying to build my capital so that I can do that. So, so I still had the business, but I didn't have any property. So I continued to work, hustle, hustle, and build my bank up pretty good. And still had some challenges that I overcame, with relationship and different things like that. But I was like, man, I got to get into real estate and as far as investing, because I was already a realtor and doing really well. And I'm always about elevation. So I started with one real estate brokerage, and I was like, you know what? I want more. So I went to a different real estate brokerage because the market wasn't doing too well. So I went to this small mom and pop real estate brokerage, and they was selling bank-owned properties. So I started selling bank-owned properties. I was selling them they was going for dirt cheap, and I was banging it out. But what that did was that allowed me to increase my knowledge in the real estate game, and work with clients and develop a good relationship with folks. But that company didn't have the technology that I needed. So I ended up going to another real estate brokerage. And I was with them for about 3 years. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to get my broker license. I think I could do this on my own. So I elevated, got in the books, got my broker license. And at the time I was like, you know what? I'm thinking about buying a franchise. So I wanted to invest in that company. But then I was like, you know what? If I get a franchise, they still will be connected to my pockets deeply, and they
Right,
still
right.
have a lot more control. So I was like, you know what? I think I could do this on my own. So what I did was I learned all their tools, everything that they had. You know, it became mine. So I jumped out and developed my own company and started Petty Capital Realty. So Petty Capital Realty, that was my brokerage.
Wow.
And keep in mind, I still got petty investments,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still working a regular 9 to 5. So now I'm hustling. So now I'm making some good money. I got my own brokerage. I'm building a team. Now I'm starting to buy and invest in real estate and buy property. So now not only am I buying it, I'm helping other folks buy property, but I'm also buying and building my real estate portfolio. So one of the first properties I got, I invested in. I bought a duplex. And my plan was to live in one side and rent out the other side because it was shortly after my divorce. And but I never did live in the one side. Ended up renting both of my and generate some good income. So I continued to bang that out. In addition to, I was flipping properties as well. So I'll buy bank-owned properties, fix them up, rehab them, and sell them, and make good money as well. And then with that money, again, I buy additional properties. So I continued to do that, those different types of things, and I was able to build my real estate portfolio and have a good amount of rental property that I own and rent out to generate some passive income. So continue to do that, man, and make different sacrifices and live a pretty good, what I think is a pretty good life, for myself, man. But in addition to that, man, not only was I doing it for myself, but I was also building generational wealth for my family. Remember, I told you I was the first person in my family to buy a home. So as I continue to buy home, I didn't just buy myself home. I educated my family about the importance of home ownership. And, multiple family members of mine now own homes as well. So not only just myself, but my aunts, cousins, all the homeowners now. And collectively, we own a lot of real estate here in Palm Beach County as a family. And this is a family that slept together in a one-bedroom house, like 15 of us. And now we own multiple properties in this county. So I feel really, really good about that, and just uplifting my family as well as the community and allowing folks to build generational wealth. So in a nutshell, I just gave you, a lot. So I just paused. If you got any questions.
But I was gonna stop you. I was gonna stop you, but I think I said, oh, let me let you go through the whole gamut because I want to go all the way back, right? Because, and I'm gonna cut. I'm sure Tyler caught some of the stuff that I'm gonna I know Tyler gonna ask questions from a interviewer stance. I'm gonna ask them from. I'm gonna ask the questions, a lot of them from an empowerment stance for other people to be able to participate in. And I want to go all the way back to this part that is so important right now for when I work with young people. I mean, listen, young people somehow think that everything's going to be okay, right? That they can do what they want to do today, and there's no consequence for it tomorrow. And I think that what you shared and what you said was very clear is that the things that you did on those days and how you didn't know at that time they were going to affect you for the future and how you wanted to be in the future and what you wanted to have. But they end up doing that, and talk a little bit about that transition because the transition that you're describing, it didn't have to go that way, right? You could have made all of these things pop off, and they could have, and at any moment they could have been taken away from you. And we understand that in many instances we are told to go the illegal way instead of doing things legal because we believe we're going to get more, we're going to more prosper out of it. But then when you have everything legally and it's yours and yours, nobody can take it from you. Whereas if you do it illegal, it can be not what is it called, seized and seized and taken out. And so I really want you to, as much as possible, explain that what, and I'm sure this is in the book somewhere, where that point came when you realized that, yes, I was who I was then, but I'm going to use the same mentality to use it in this new world that it can be benefited in.
Absolutely, that's a good question. So I go way back to my high school years. Just being a young man with, like I mentioned, I didn't think I'd see my 21st birthday. With the things that I was doing, and I share a lot of that in the book. I had a drug charge when I was like 14 years old, robbing people and just doing a lot of unlawful things. All of it, nothing I'm proud of or glorified, but that's just the environment that I was in at the time. And when you come from a survival mode, man, it strikes something in you. We didn't have much, and I talk about it in the book. Some of my early hustles. Being a young man, I sold mangoes, oranges, fruits, and things like that, young, because I wanted a little bit more. My mom couldn't really provide those different types of things to me. So I'm about 10, 11 years old, we selling mangoes, we go and look for little hustles to make money. So the hustle was already in me, from an early age. And sometimes the struggle teach you a lot, it bring out that ambition in you. And I think that's what it did for me. So as I continue to grow, I started doing different things. I went from selling mangoes to, at one point I even sold newspaper subscriptions. Went from that to investing and selling candy in school, and I was the man, selling candy in school and making some good money. But then I wanted to elevate. So I went from selling candy to selling drugs, started out selling weed, then went to selling rocks, and cocaine and all those different types of things. And just making a lot of unlawful decisions and doing what I told you I did. My turning point came when I realized that I was becoming a father. To me, that was very, very critical and important, because I felt that, what, ain't no way that I can allow my son to grow up in the same circumstances and situations that I grew in. So I told myself at that point, man, you know what, I got to get it together, man. I can't allow this my son to go through these challenges. So I tightened up. I ended up getting my grades together, because one thing about me, I always went to school. I always understood the importance of education. I go from the block to the bus stop, to go to school. Not go always, and I made a commitment to myself that I was going to get a high school diploma, regardless where I'm at, whether it was prison or wherever. I was going to get me some education. So when I made that commitment, I started applying myself to school a little bit more, got my grades together, started playing high school football for the first year, my senior year in school, had my son, and, just started just moving in the right direction and start making smarter moves. I still wasn't totally out the game 100%, but I wasn't doing a lot of the robbing and just making the careless mistakes as a lot of young men do. I just started moving a little bit more smarter and focusing on being a good dad. And that's what I wanted to do. And that was the turning point for me. And when my son was born, he had some challenges, So not only was I playing sports, but then I had to go to the hospital. I had to support the mother of my child. I had a lot of responsibilities at the time as a 16-year-old, trying to juggle all these different types of things. So the hustle was in me, and I always wanted more for myself. I always wanted more for my family. So that was like the turning point for me when I was in high school and the birth of my son.
Ricky, get it out the mud, Petty. Okay, so let me just tell y'all, first of all, I almost got a ticket trying to get here and park this car. And now I'm actually scared to go in the parking garage because I don't want the signal to lose, because I was taking like so many points. And I'm like, I hope this man has been watching this show, because I'm the only girl on here today. So I got to hit you with some relationship stuff, because I was just having this conversation. All right. And so, brothers, Mr. Petty, how did you get beyond petty when it comes down to, well, let me see, how could I? Okay, so I'm going through this phase in life where when I lay down at night, I kind of run in my head back things that happened like 20 years ago. And I'm like, dang, is this affecting what happens today and all of these other things? And so what I'm finding is in my friends' relationships and my relationships and different things that we're all in that phase of life. We're all kind of in the same phases of life where we're looking at different things, different circumstances, and we're seeing how they like affect our relationships, how they affect our relationships with our partners, with our children, with our coworkers. How, brother, how have you separated the young man who was 14 sleeping in a bed with 6 other family members who had to rob as a way of life, not because it was cool, but because you guys wanted to eat? Because this is what I'm taking from it. How do you stand and still fight, or do you still have some of those demons? Does that little boy sometimes creep up? And if he does, how do you combat that when it comes to relationships?
So if I understand you correctly, you're just saying like you asking how do I deal with some of the trauma that happened in my earlier years? How do I deal with that? Right?
Not even necessarily the trauma yet. I want to go back to the pure decisions that you made. Like, not necessarily the things that were traumatic. All of them can be summed up in trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do take ownership in some of the things that I've done. So when I lay down, I'm actually thinking about, damn, you did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this framed, and I'm grateful that I feel like I'm a pretty solid woman from some of the things that I've experienced and gone through. So what I'm thinking is like the decisions that you made, not necessarily the traumatic ones, but the ones that were fun. So you know how you said you were still in the game? I
Mm-hmm.
was still in the game, you know. So the ones that were fun, that were still kind of contributing negatively to your life, how do you kind of reconcile, or how do you make all of that whole today?
Yeah, well, I think it's every day you get a chance and a choice, and the choices that you make gonna dictate how you live your life. So me thinking back and reflecting on some of the poor choices that I made, I have to realize that I can't make those type of choices and still to live the lifestyle that I have. At the time when I was taking those chances and making those choices, I felt that I had very little to lose and everything to gain. So at the mindset where I'm at now, I feel like I got too much to lose and nothing to gain by involving in some of the things that I did when I was in my younger years. I can't take those type of chances. I can't make those type of sacrifices. Because I know it all come with some consequences, and the consequences that they come with, I'm not willing to risk. So I think when I think about those, I'm grateful and thankful that I'm in the situation I'm in, because I got friends that's doing some serious time, and one of my boys, he was he got 30 years, and he on year 25 right now, and I went to visit him, and I'm sitting across from him just thinking like, man, I could easily have been in the same position where he at right now. I could be where he at, and he could be where I am. We both jumped on the same dirty mattress together. We both did the same licks and was involved in the same type of activity. But here I am, and here he goes, And so I always think of those type of situations, and I'm very grateful, that I did make some pretty good choices, and my path was led in a different direction. So I think that's how I cope with it, And one of the things that I do, I try to help other brothers, that's willing, to kind of help them, in their decision making, and have these spaces open for them so they can learn and make better choices for themselves. But that's what it all boiled down to, and that's what separates me from some of the crew that I used to hang with. It's just the choices that we made.
Yeah, I wonder, how do you so when a young man is coming to you, or even a young woman is coming to you for mentorship or something like that, and they can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, or they can't really see the hope at the end of the tunnel. Because I kind of deal with that a lot these days, and it's not even the situations are not even as dire as yours. I remember when I first kind of went into counseling, when I first graduated, I hated counseling certain kids. I hated counseling. I was counseling kids, and I was counseling actually the huffers, the kids that sniff glue. And I preferred the heroin kids because I felt like at least I could understand and kind of relate to them. Or do you have like a go to word that you approach the youth with, or even men that are your age? Like, do you have some go to words for them? Do you have some things that words of encouragement that you give for them to keep going? Do you feel comfortable telling your story right off the bat?
Yeah, of
I guess
course.
my question is, what does mentorship look like?
Yeah, so for me, mentorship look like is first. I think you have to meet people where they at. You know, because everybody in a different space in their life. So I think it's important to meet them where they at. So because I have such a diverse background, I'm able to connect with folks on every different level. You know, from relationship, from being involved with the law, from sports. You know, so I'm very diverse. So I try to get an understanding of the person so that I can meet them where they are. And one of the things that I always show with folks is don't let your circumstances dictate, you know, the potential of what you can be. Because many people think that because they're in a certain situation, that's their life, you know. And I like to get them to understand that that's not true. You know what I mean? And talk to them about making sacrifices. Talk to them about persevering. You know, letting them know that they are human, that they are gonna make mistakes, you know. And sometimes when I share my story and open up to them and say what I've been through, it offers a little bit of hope and motivation to them because everybody do have their days, you know, and sometimes life beats you up, you know. But it's important that you connect and have good people, a good support system around you to kind of keep you, lifted.
Right, right. Now, you talked about mentorship, and I love that. I've been a success mentor. I've done a lot of work with a lot of different schools in the New York City area, and we all have that one case, you know. Mine was with this kid named Tariq. Um, can you share with the audience a particular case that you dealt with in terms of your mentorship, and what were some of those challenges, and how did you overcome those challenges with that particular young person?
Yeah. So I mentor many kids,
Mm-hmm.
many kids and young people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this one, well, I had multiples, but trying to think of a good story that I could share with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I could think of successes a lot, but I could tell you about this one story. I had this one young man, and he continued to make poor choices and allow himself to
Mm-hmm.
be in unfortunate situations. And one of the things that I did, I never judged this person. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he come to me advice. One of the things I do is I listen. I meet him where you are. I
Mm-hmm.
listen, and usually they have some different things on their mind. And just one situation, he needed some guidance on a relationship that he was involved with. He was having problems with his significant other, and and she wanted out, but he wanted to stay, and he wanted to stay because of the relationship for the children or whatnot. So I just kind of
Mm-hmm.
encouraged him, to stay in that relationship or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of listen and talk them through. And one of the things I did was I gave him contact to speak to a therapist, to deal with
Mm-hmm.
some of the trauma that he was dealing with. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I did for that particular young man.
Mm-hmm.
And that person still have issues, and I still talk to him and still guide
Mm-hmm.
and direct
Mm-hmm.
with his relationship. The
Mm-hmm.
person called and asked me about different choices, and I tell them,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is what I would do. I don't know what you would do, but this, if it was me in that situation, this is what I would do. And many
Mm-hmm.
times they'll take my advice, but sometimes they don't, and they end up in a poor situation.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular person that I was mentoring was going through a situation, and they usually call me, like I say, when they make choices.
Mm-hmm.
And the choices that this person ended up making before calling me was he ended up getting involved in a situation where he took the life of some persons.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a regretful situation, and we ended up talking,
Mm-hmm.
afterward and through the
Mm-hmm.
situation, of course. But and that's one of the things that he said that he regretted, that he wished he had called me before making the decision that he did. You know,
Mm,
so that's just a
mm,
case in regards to somebody that I was mentoring in different situations that I helped them
mhm.
out with, but it ended up, you know, something terribly ended up happening in it. You
Right.
know, so
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. No, your journey is very interesting, and I love that you're able to overcome a lot of hurdles and challenges in your life, and your passion. You sound very passionate about real estate. How do you think that connects to like? Let me go back. Uh, what is this all culminating for you in your mind? Like, you're doing this real estate, you're growing, in the business. Now you have the investment. What's the next step? What's the goal, I guess, that you want to achieve? Let's say even 5 years from now.
yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things, I know you talked about passion. So for
Yes.
me,
Mhm.
part of my mission in life is to add value to others and inspire others. So I just love helping people. So anytime I'm doing something, I always ask myself, am I adding value? You know, am
Mm.
I inspiring? You know, am I motivating? Am I making
Hmm.
a difference? You know, and
Hmm.
usually if the answer to those things is yes, I'm doing it. So with what I did on my 9 to 5, you know, I asked
Hmm.
myself, am I making a difference? Am I
Right.
inspiring? Am I uplifting? Yes. Same thing with real estate. You know, am I adding value to others? Am I uplifting? Yes. So I try to involve in myself with things that go along with my life mission. And real estate is one of those things that does that. You know, of course,
Hmm.
you know, it allowed me the financial freedom, and I get to receive the financial benefits. But more
Hmm.
importantly, I think being able to help a family or a person create what make one of the most expensive possessions that they're going to buy in their lifetime, most likely, and create some generational wealth. You know, that makes me feel really, really well when you done help the family or a person, you know, make a great sum of money. So I feel really good about that. But that's my passion, you know, to help inspire, motivate, and
Well,
uplift.
money is part of it, right? And a lot of times, especially when you mentioned this too, when you're in survival mode, everything is to get to some place where you're kind of out of that mode, or at least you stave it off for a moment. What are some of those? I would say some of those values, I guess, that you kind of walk with uh, in every aspect you can kind of apply to various challenges, because you talked about your relationships, and you talked about one breakup. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, for our audience too, about how do
Yeah,
you push through? How do you keep? It seems like you're met with a lot of challenges. How do you
yeah,
consistently push past and push through
yeah, man.
those challenging moments?
So one of the things, man, you have to remain resilient. You know, you got to be resilient. And so yeah, so my breakup, you know, again, it
Mhm.
was actually the mother of my children, my
Mm,
first two children. We was high school sweethearts. We were together for some good times since high school. And you know, but as we, you know, I finished college and came home and doing my thing, we started
mhm,
to grow apart. And of course, I had my own, you know, what I did in the relationship. You know,
mhm,
infidelity did creep in, and it allowed distrust, and you know, and just didn't allow the relationship to go in the way that I thought it should go, or the way that she thought it would go as well. But we started
mhm,
to grow apart, you know. And for that, you know, I had to kind of find myself, you know. So after
mhm,
that breakup and we went through that situation, I had to find myself because that was tough for me.
mhm,
You know, I value myself on family. That's
mhm,
really, really important to me. I didn't grow in a two family household. I wanted my kids to grow and you know grow up in a two parent household, which they did. But that was just important to me, just the
mhm,
family bond, and so that was hard for me to let that go. And
mhm,
you know, so I think it did, you know, traumatize me in a sense, but I
mhm,
learned a lot from it, you know,
mhm,
and I think all the time back, I think back on the values that I learned from it, you know,
mhm,
and some of the values, you know, such as sharing faith and belief. That's very, very important. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I think that should be the foundation of a relationship, man. You got to have God in the details. Communication, another one, of course. Just
Mm.
being communicating.
Very
Make sure
important.
that
Yeah.
you communicating with your partner, being
Hmm.
respectful, having a commitment. Committing. In addition to that, having some compromising. Having that person that's there for emotional support,
Hmm.
and also a person not just be with you but grow with you. You know, so you kind
Mm.
of learn all these different types of things, and most importantly, I think forgiveness, because sometimes in relationships, man, it's hard for folks to forgive. And
Yes.
sometimes when you don't forgive, man, it's hard for you to really give that person um, all of you. And it could
Hmm.
be for various reasons, whether it's trust or whatnot. But
Hmm.
those are different things that I think that I learned from my relationship and that I will bring into the next relationship. But you learn, and I think
Hmm.
that I learned, and it was a lesson for me.
Hmm.
Um, and in my book, I talk about a lot of this as well. So
Hmm.
basically, it's love and lessons.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. So now, in terms of like lessons learned, and there's a lot of them, right? During various seasons of your life, seems like you've you know learned through all of the different challenges and pushing through. What are have has there ever been those challenges that you're still working with or you're still dealing with right now?
Oh well, I think as a person, as me,
Hmm.
there's always
Hmm.
room for growth. So I'm always trying to be a better version of myself.
Yeah.
Um, Always, I'm trying to be a better Ricky Petty. So I'm always trying to stay at top of my game, and always trying to identify different things about myself that I can improve. And I'm still a
Hmm.
grown. I'm not this perfect guy. I still
Hmm.
got a lot of room for growth. I got some areas that I do pretty well in, but I also got some areas where I could work on, and I'm still
Hmm.
working on me and trying to be every day. I'm trying to be a better version of myself.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's the
But brother,
goal.
brother Petty, tell us about those areas. What are those areas? What's the next level? So if we do full on transparency today, and I apologize y'all for not being on camera. I had the police actually pulled up behind me, so I needed to get out of that space. But what's the next level for you, or what are the challenges that you see that may prevent the next level, or just talk about what those challenges are. What are those things that you're looking to change in you?
Well, I wouldn't look at it, for me. I wouldn't look at it more so challenges. I just look at it as areas of growth. Of course, spiritually. I'm always trying to grow spiritually. Um, Relationship. I think that's the area where I'm always trying to grow. Of course, I want to be. I would love to get married again at some point, but you got to think about the commitment. You got to think about other different things. So in those areas, especially when you come back off a divorce, you still need that time for healing. So I think that I'm nearly over that part, but I think
Hmm.
I can grow in those different types of areas. You know, those
Hmm.
are just two examples. You want more?
What does healing look like, men, on this thing? Please tell me what for all of the ladies out there. Please tell me, for all of y'all, what does healing look like in a successful man who is, who's I mean, like, you look good on paper, brother. Like, what does healing look like? What does it look like for you to have to heal?
What it looked like? It looked like that paper you was looking at. That's what it looked like. But for me, just like it looked on paper, it looked good. But healing, I think it's hard to pour from an empty cup. You know what I mean? And sometimes when if many men, if you're broken, you can't give nobody a piece of you. So as you continue to heal, you can continue to be whole. And when you find that person, or when you're with that person, you could be whole. You know what I mean? So you can when you're not challenged when it comes to temptation, you're not challenged. You feel full spiritually. So all those different types of things I think could kind of help contribute to that person being whole, after being broken, or going through the process of healing, and just and one of the most important things is is having peace. You know what I mean? So what men look for, we look for peace. You know what I mean? And happiness. You know, for me, when on my journey, you know what I mean, there was three things that was important to me. So one, you know what I mean, I had to find myself. You know what I mean? I had to identify who I am. You know what I mean? Because sometimes as a man, when you're going through the healing process, it's some things that you may not know about yourself or you haven't learned about yourself at that point. So I had to learn me. Secondly, you know, for me, what's important is, you know, I had to identify, you know, my tribe, you know, the different people that's going to help me, level up. That's going to help me through different situations and challenges that I may be faced with. And thirdly, I had to kind of find my joy. You know, I had to identify, you know, what makes Ricky happy. You know, I'm always pouring and, you know, doing this for everybody else. What makes me happy? So I had to find my joy, and I had to find out what made me happy. And at this, where I'm at in my life right now, I'm not going to let anybody jeopardize my peace nor my happiness. So anytime I'm in a situation where I feel that my peace or happiness is being compromised, I'm gonna have to back up out of it. So, or either sidestep. So that's for me. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, well, Ricky, let me say this. Not only did you answer, I think that if people have listened very clearly, and Fawn knows what she's doing. She has a very keen eye to ask the questions she asks, and I think these questions are very important because I think that so many people can learn. Because I think, as Fawn said, as someone is watching this, they're saying, God, this guy he went from the bottom to the top. He dealt with a lot of different things and this and that. And I think you already said this, Ricky, is that I'm not perfect. I'm still in the process of what my life is. So the idea that, oh, you got everything going on, you're at the right place. Oh, let me just throw this woman in the mix. Well, the woman might not be ready to be thrown in the mix. I might not be ready to take the woman in the mix. So a lot of times we follow these cookie cutter kind of dynamics of relational things that should happen. Like, you know, when we look at people who don't follow the traditional route to be where they are, we look at them in some way. But they usually are the people who are a lot more successful and more at peace with where they're at. You know, because they went there their way. They got there at their place. And we have to make those decisions. You said something I always support this for men and fathers when I'm working with them is a lot of people expect a lot from us as men and as fathers, right? And a lot of it, they don't give us the grace to still be human. And people say, what do you mean by that, or what happens? Whereas very often there is this idea that you should be and manage and handle yourself in a certain way. And when you're not that way, you're problematic. And if you do stay in that way, right? If you stay in this I run thing and you don't got your shit together, then you penalize again. So there's not a place for grace. It's not a place to say, hey, come get your peace at this place. Let me help you heal yourself. Let me get you to a place. Sometimes it's just they're like, hey, I need somebody to take care of me. I need somebody to make me feel good. I need somebody, and I so often hear this in sessions with couples, and I have to stop. I have to stop a minute and say, hey, husband, a boyfriend. Did you hear what she said? And he looking at me like he looking at me cross-eyed because he feels that I'm siding with her. And then I say, now ask her if she's ready to do those same things for you. And you see the switch. You see the change in that whole dynamic, because sometimes what people are asking you, sometimes they're not ready to give to you. And listen, men need love, they need compassion, they need support, they need to be able to feel in a place with a woman to be vulnerable. And sometimes some people, some women, some men don't know how to do that. So I just want us to, if we're getting something, as we started going to Ricky's romantic life and his relationship with all these things, remember that the man that he is today came with a lot of strife and strain. and don't think that stuff is just run off your back. You still face everything that we face in life. It's never over. You never stop being that little boy that you was. You never stop being uh, the divorced father. You never stop being those things. You just overcome them, but they're still there. You can't, it's not like oh well, I'm done with that and it's all good. Peace out. Oh, everything, and I'm happy, and I'm in a Disney marriage now. New Disney marriage, everything. We smiling, chucky. No, because whatever we have inside will come back out later. And that's just one of the things we have to really remember.
Dr. Ron, like I love it when I'm with my baby because she reminds me um, of just how simple life is. And so I often forget that it's okay to be that little girl. It's okay to be the person who doesn't know stuff. It's okay to be the person who needs help. So, um, Brother Petty, I was going to say thank you for sharing that. For sharing that I needed to identify that person who can help me. Because I think often we take these roles on, um, these roles that society has like assigned to us, and it says that the woman is supposed to be the helpmate, and or so the helpmate, but it doesn't explain like the helpmate where this man may actually mentally not just this is not just about you getting in a slot and how they say be his peace. That's not about you just closing your mouth. Sometimes he might need you to actually hold his hand and say you could do this. Like you get this shoulder right here. And that's kind of where I was going with the questions in the beginning because for us experiencing this black love, even if you date outside of your race, your love is still black. For us experiencing this black love, sometimes things be different. Sometimes the roles may have to change where it's like, hey, can you carry the backpack a little bit? Because I got the backpack of my ex, I got this, I got that. And I think the challenges that we run into, the more successful we get, is that people don't allow us to have those challenges. So I can really appreciate you sharing, you know, just the transparency of where you are and what you need and the vulnerability. All the men on here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. I ain't hear Tylon say nothing yet, but I know he gonna come back. He gonna come back for me.
Talon already vulnerable, so he don't need to be any more vulnerable.
This is true. This is true.
See, his microphone don't even work. He was somewhere doing something else. And
No. No, as a business person, how do you mitigate expectations, self expectations, right? Like things that, you have to be present, you have people that you're responsible with, payroll, all this other kind of stuff. And people expecting things, from you and balancing, taking care of yourself. How do you navigate, that complexity? That I think is very just different for Black businessmen and Black business owners.
For me, I think work-life balance is very, very important. And with me doing so many different things, you could easily get what I call lost in the sauce.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Like you get so much. What am I doing?
Yeah, so it's important that you prioritize. You got to understand, what's important, and I think having a plan. It's important to have a plan. Many people fail, but they fail because they don't have because they don't have a plan. Secondly, I think that's important is you got to have the right team. And that's the second reason why people are not as successful. Either they don't have a plan. When I look at people that are not being successful, because they can have a great idea, but sometimes it's just that either they didn't have a good plan or they didn't have the right team that was working.
Well, do you run into the challenge with like team building? Because you're a Black businessman, people might not, especially in real estate, right? People may not take you as seriously because you're a Black man. Like, you know what it is, you're the owner, you're not the representative, so you get how does that play in, or how do you cope with those kind of unique challenges?
Yeah, so when you do have those unique challenges, I never really try to boast on myself or whatnot. I think they go and do their research. They do go and do, they'll find out, who I am. So I'm a humble person. I go in humble, and I'm very confident in my game and what I do, and I think the work that I've done speak volume. And usually the people that usually work with me, they working with me because somebody already had informed them about me and the work that I do. So many cases that's usually my challenge. But I have had people who may felt that I wasn't competent at times. However, you prove them wrong, through your work and your efforts, and then at the end they be like, "Wow, I really thought that." You start to hear that, and I just smile like, "Okay, no problem." It is what it is. I'm very confident, so nobody could really make me feel less than what I already am. I know who I am. I know what I bring to any table, so I'm very confident. So, but to answer your question as far as work-life balance, I think having creating a plan, making sure that you have the right team, and also making sure that you have an effective system, that's going to work properly as well. And lastly, you got to make sure that you take care of yourself, man. You got to take care of yourself, man. So ain't if you got to work hard, and no play, that's no fun. And that to me, that's not life. So I work hard, and I play pretty hard too. So I make sure that I enjoy myself. I make sure that I conquer the things that I set myself out to do. So
Right.
I'm well balanced.
Now, what about family? Balancing family, because I have kids, right, and they're all grown. People think it gets easier when they get older, but they're actually, over 18, and the bills go higher. So, like, how do you? Uh, I think maybe incorporate. Do you incorporate your children in your business,
Uh,
or to some
uh,
extent, and balancing? And how does
uh,
that? What does that look like
Oh
for
man,
you?
so I try to be the best at everything. So for me, I
Mhm.
try to if whatever I'm doing, I try to be the best at. So when it comes to family, I'm trying to be the best dad. Like I want to be the best dad ever. You know what I mean? So
Shout out to your children.
yeah, absolutely. My son, a graduate of Bethune-Cookman University, accounting. My
Woo!
daughter, she
Yeah.
just graduated from Bethune-Cookman University.
Mhm.
And I got a younger daughter, Rakaya, and she'll
Mhm.
be most likely graduating from Bethune-Cookman University in 2033, I think. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, so that's very dear to my heart. So
Beautiful.
I make time for my children. I make time to
Mhm.
spend quality time with my children,
Mhm.
and to make sure they have a good life. My children,
Mhm.
my two
How many
older
children
children,
do you have? How many
I have
children do
three
you?
three children,
Three.
27. My son, 27.
Mhm.
My middle daughter is 22, and my younger
Mhm.
daughter's 5. So,
Oh,
so
okay.
for my older children, they done already got the good years, of course, and
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
did all the great things that I think that
Mhm.
a kid would want, and I made sure they had
Mhm.
an amazing
Mhm.
childhood. I did the
Oh, do,
coaching.
do any of them have any interest in real estate like you do? Anyone?
Absolutely,
Are you starting
absolutely,
the Trump empire?
absolutely. My daughter,
I mean, the petty empire.
absolutely. Well, my younger daughter, she just bought her first property last week. Her first
Woo!
investment, and became a
Congratulations.
homeowner last week. So she's 22. So she's well on the way. But balancing making sure that I'm a good father, I think is very important, and I make sure I spend good quality time with my children. I want to be there for every occasion, every any opportunity my hands got to come together to clap. I want to be there. I don't care what it is. I want to be right there. And what I tell people when it comes to balancing, whether it's work-life balancing children, balancing life gonna do what it's gonna do. You know what I mean? And I feel that we make excuses for things that we don't want to do, and we make exceptions for things that we do want to do. You know, and I pride myself. I'm not a person that make excuses. I get it done. I don't make excuses. I make it happen. And that's my attitude about different things. If this is will, it's a way. And I think this far in my life, I've been able to make many different things happen, not only for myself but for my family. So, that's me.
There was a question that I definitely would want to be able to touch base because I definitely when the audience puts in questions, I definitely want to be able to. The question was, how do you generate the funds to invest in real estate, and how does your credit need to look like to purchase property versus land?
Good question. So, I'll start with the credit first. So first, you don't, it depends. You don't need credit in order to purchase property or land, but you better have some cash. You know what I mean? If you got cash, you don't need credit because that's going to be your money. But so I think it's important to have credit, because if you got credit, you can leverage your funds, and you can be able to have access to cash instead of using your own. So that's the importance of having credit and maintaining good credit. That's what it allows you to do. Now, how did I generate the funds to invest in real estate? So, like I mentioned earlier, your 9 to 5, that's what's gonna keep the bread on the table. That's what's gonna keep you eating. But what you do from 5 to 9, that's what's going to get you to your dream. So I think that it's important that you have some other type of hustle going on. Unless you got a really, really good job that pay well, it's just a matter of just budgeting and saving and being able to do that. But if you already, with the one job, if it's only doing just enough, you're going to have some other income generating money coming in. And one way to do that is have some type of other hustle. For me, my other hustle was real estate. I also did various other things as well. I started a record company. I did a lot of different things, but I would say you have to have another hustle to kind of help generate funds. And then the rest is about just saving. Another thing that folks would do is just make some financial sacrifices. You'd be surprised how much you could save by not going to Starbucks every day. You'd be surprised how much you could save to bringing your lunch to work every day instead of eating out. You'd be surprised how much you can save by not going to buy those nice pair of shoes that you want. And I always tell people, man, if you could sacrifice for about 6 months, you'll be amazed at what your bank account will look like. So one, I would tell you, is to sacrifice and save more. And find a side hustle that's going to generate some decent money to help build up the bank, and keep your credit in good standards to kind of help leverage the funds that you may need to buy a property or land.
Okay, I think that is very simple and plain and to the point. So if you are thinking about that, and you have an expert here who did it, got it from the mud and made it happen, and so you can do the same thing. And I think and Rick, I'm so glad you said this about, if you got the cash, you don't need no credit. I mean, a lot of people want to always push towards credit. I hear so many people say, "Oh, I can't do nothing. I want to get my credit right and this and that." I told somebody, "Listen, let me tell you something. And this is just my belief system. No one turning down cash." Sinbad taught me that. Sinbad taught me that on a TV show one time. Sinbad, he was saying, well, his daughter wanted to get a car, and he said, "I'm just gonna get it with this sack of money." Right? He said, "Whatever car you want, we'll get it with this sack of money." And he did a lot, because any day they'll take the money before trying to do finance, whatever. Because one thing to have money in the hand and the hope that you pay a car off later because you got credit. So
yeah,
money, cash is king.
Cash is king.
Most people don't want to give it up.
Yep, cash is king. But of course, you got other options as well. You could do a loan, either conventional, or you also could do what we call hard money loan. It's just like cash, but you're gonna pay a premium price, borrowing hard money. But it's just like cash. But if you got your own money, you can make it work. Don't never let nobody tell you what you can't do. If there's a will, there's always a way. Anything is possible. If you're looking to invest in it, even if you want to spend cash, find a couple other people and y'all put that money together and make it happen. So I done bought land, I done bought single family homes, duplexes, and all that kind of stuff. And I done use cash, I done use hard money, I done use conventional loans, I done use all those different methods.
Well, I think as we getting rolled out, I think that people get a good idea of what they can look for to get into this book when they begin to look into it. I just have one more question, and then I'm probably going to show a couple pictures of how people can get the book, and I want you to be able to tell them where they can get the book, and that's it. My last question, and it came up early when you was commenting about that having a 9 to 5, but also being an entrepreneur. And you said something that I've been saying for years to people. how can you be an entrepreneur when you didn't start anywhere, right? What, and you make it harder on yourself to be successful when you don't have a base to kind of play to keep yourself stable. So talk a little bit about, for people who are thinking about this, and we have a large generation of people. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm getting it from the dirt. I'm this and that. But really talk about how much easier it was to be an entrepreneur to have a 9 to 5. How much of having that 9 to 5 supported all of the things that you needed to do and things you needed to happen to be able to start your entrepreneur business. I think that's a part that sometimes people are not thinking about.
So when I think about entrepreneurship, it sounds really good. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a boss. It sounds really good, man. But it really take a certain level of responsibility to do it. And not everybody cut out to be an entrepreneur. Many people think they are, but they really not. They think they are. And I tell folks all the time. I see some folks, they start or whatever business, and then you ask them if they generating money, and it's like, well, I'm doing it. They ain't making the money. I'm like, you don't got a business. You have a hobby. You're doing something you like. It ain't generating no money. You need to be generating some money. And you gotta build your cash flow. So working a 9 to 5 for some folks, that may be what they may need to do because they don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur, you got to realize that, hey, ain't no benefits that you ain't create. So you don't have any benefits. And basically, your salary is determined on your hustle. So you don't hustle, you don't eat. In the 9 to 5, you know what your paycheck gonna be every week. But as an entrepreneur, your hustle determines your salary. So you don't hustle, you don't eat. Some days you may have to put in an 8 hour day, you may have to put in 10 hours. You may need to put in 15 hours. You know, a 9 to 5, you just do your nine to five, and you out of there. Entrepreneurs, you got to work. If you got staff, you got to worry about how you're gonna keep the books right so that your staff could be paid. How you're gonna continue to make business. Is your budget balanced, and are you generating income? So you have a lot of different things to worry about. Because in addition to worry about your business, guess what? You also still got to balance your everyday living. How these bills gonna get paid, how these lights gonna stay on. Not
Right,
just in
right.
your business, but at home as well. So
That's
the
right.
question is, do you really want these responsibilities? Do you have a
Mm,
clear plan? Do you have a business plan? That's going to help you reach those goals that you set out for yourself. And usually when you ask people, do they got a business plan? No, they just got an idea, and the idea that usually result to them just being a hobby. They very passionate about it. They like this here, but guess what? It ain't having an impact on their bottom line or bottom dollar. So I think folks got the ability to be entrepreneurs, but not everybody cut out to be it. They got to have a certain level of discipline. They got to be good with managing their finances and their resources. They got to be a good networker. They got to get out. And they have to be able to build a team and support their team. Yeah, so it's a lot that go into being an entrepreneur, and many folks have to understand that before getting into it. But I think the most simplest thing that they need to do is create a business plan, and that business plan is going to let you know, do you want to invest in that idea or not? Because if you spell it out properly and do everything that you identified in that plan, you should have the results that plan have if you have a thorough business plan.
mm. Well, we sure have a lot of questions heating up in our chat. One of the questions are, how stable is the Florida housing market? And then another question is it a good idea to out properties into a trust or LLC?
All right. So the first question I asked, how is the Florida stable market? If you
Mhm.
ask me, I tell you, man, we got 1,000 people moving to Florida every day. You know what I mean? So the market is
Mm,
going really, really well. It's going to continue to do well, in my opinion. Only thing right now, the interest rates are pretty high.
mhm,
So that besides the interest rates being high, the market is still going in an upward spiral.
mhm,
And over time with real estate, it always have been going up. You have your situations where things have went down and took a big dip. You have those
mhm,
situations. So when folks ask me about when is the best time to buy, I tell them the best time to buy is today and yesterday. You know what I mean? That's the best time to buy real estate. And to give you an example, I had people like 3 years ago, like, hey, I'm gonna wait till the prices go down. I'm gonna wait till the prices go down. Guess what? Prices ain't go down. I had one person, a friend of mine. I tried to put him in the game, and I tried to get him to buy this duplex
Mm-hmm.
that because he was trying to get in the game. Presented it to him. No, I'm trying to wait till the market go down. So I ended up buying a duplex myself. So from that duplex at the time, they wanted 300 for it. I ended up buying it for 280, and now the same duplex worth about 550. So that could have been his, but instead
Mm-hmm.
it's part of my portfolio now. But again, he
Mm-hmm.
was waiting till the market went up. I mean, waiting till the market went down and it went up. So that's just an example of how's the housing market. For me, of course, it's always situations, but to me, it's real estate. The market is going to go up and go up, go down. So I think Florida market is pretty stable. Now, when you talk about some other areas, it may be a little bit more challenging. But again, you have 1,000 people moving to Florida every day, and when people
Mm-hmm.
ask me now, it's not the time to buy. I tell them now it's not the time to rent either. So I think Florida market is how the market is doing well. Besides the interest rates being high, the second
Mm-hmm.
question was, is it a good idea to out properties into a trust or real estate? Absolutely. Because I say if you do have any real estate, you will always. I'm not an attorney, but you always would want to get a trust
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't have a trust, what happened is that and something happened to you, and let's say you end up passing away, that property is going to have to go through probate, and now your family is going to be fit with the bill to go through the probate process and all that. And you don't really want that. So if you have a trust, you can already have it identified for who you want to go to. Now, as for the LLC, if you have it in the LLC, the benefit of having investment property in the LLC or another entity is it allows you that protection. So that's the purpose of getting the property in the LLC or another entity because it protects yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is. It's a good idea to put a investment property into an LLC or a trust. Yes, it is.
Mm. And what advice would you give a recent high school student about a graduate about the best ways to enter into the real estate game?
Okay, the best way I would do is just start learning about it right now. Connect yourself with a real estate agent or either a broker, and maybe just start doing some different tasks with that person. I would say maybe making phone calls, doing cold calls, or helping them put together marketing material. Just doing something that would kind of help you learn more about the business. Because I think if you start at that age, in high school, once you graduate, then you go on to get your real estate license. You'll be well on your way to have a successful career in real estate.
Mm. And what was this other? Okay. What are your thoughts on using life insurance policies like IULs to build generational wealth, to use that money to purchase properties?
Yeah, so I really can't talk too much on that because I'm not a licensed insurance agent, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
not too
Okay.
familiar with that particular area. But from what I understand, I think that it is some value in that, but you probably want to talk with either an accountant or either a licensed insurance agent.
Mm. Do you offer any type of mentorship programs for young men and women who are just starting out, uh, high schoolers and recent graduates?
So I don't have. You mean if you regard if it's this regarding real estate? The question is no, not
Mm.
at this time right now. But they do have. I don't offer one personally, but what they do have, they have different groups that they could be a part of. I know, like down here, we have like the young professionals and
Mm-hmm.
other groups that they can associate themselves with. For mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
They got opposed to that, if they're high schoolers, they can get involved in one of our Lamp Lighters program through Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And I also sit on the board of another mentoring program called Connect to Greatness, and they offer mentorship as well.
Thanks for those questions, man, that we're getting. Um, what do you recommend? What should be the first property to purchase? Single family home or multifamily units?
For me, what I would recommend in real estate, the name of the game is you don't make your money when you sell the property. You make your money when you buy the property. So any one of those would be a great idea. It just depends on what the profit margin is and what your end game is. So if you're looking for a fix and flip, of course, the single family home would be
Mm-hmm.
more attractive if you're looking to fix and flip. If you're looking for rental, of course, multifamily units would be ideally the best purchase. But most likely, ideally, what usually happens, depending on what your goals are, most people probably start out with a single family home because I think at the price point may be a little bit more reasonable to purchase a single family than purchasing a multifamily. But if your pockets are deep, I would say go for the multi family.
Mm. Hey,
Y'all can see
Tanika.
me? Good evening.
I can see you. Mhm.
Classmate, how you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing?
It's been a long time. I'm doing
Uh,
well.
I know that's
Ron,
right.
Tylon, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening.
Wow, Ron, what's up? You just a little hey, man.
I guess we lost Tanika.
Mm.
But that's okay. But again, you see, that's why I always talk about me being petty because you see all the different things that I've been through.
Hmm.
And I always like to say I'm just being petty, but when I say that, I mean I'm just being me. So it
Hmm.
could be looked at either way. And with my different businesses, Petty Capital Realty, Petty Investments, and me just doing a lot of different petty things. And I like to tell people, when I do real estate, I have me, Ricky Petty, the realtor. I work for Petty Capital, and I buy property for Petty Investments, and all that money stay in one circle. Ricky Petty, the agent, get the commission. Petty Capital Realtor make its cut from it, and Petty Investment make its cut off the deal as well. So it's a lot
Hmm.
of pettiness going on. And with all that, me being petty, that led me to my book called Beyond Petty, Embracing Dreams, Define the Odds. And basically, everything that we talked about today is in that book, and it's a memoir about
Mm.
my a journey through my life from early childhood to now. Me going through my humble beginnings and making it to the level where I feel having a little success.
Mm.
Tanika, can
Hey, can y'all hear me?
you able to talk now?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry about that. I'm in the car. I'm always doing something, but I had to jump on and just say good evening to you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Ron, Talon, and the panelists for making sure we continue to bring good folks that's about their business to help those viewers who watch this and even those who watch the replay. Um, get information that they can utilize. I'm proud of you, classmate, the book, everything you're doing in the realty game. I watch from the sidelines, you know. I'm watching from the sidelines, making Mother Mary proud and all of us who share the same alma mater. So, and your son
Absolutely.
pledged Q, I saw that. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, 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 good stuff, good stuff. I just want to greet you on behalf of Sisters for Sisters, my nonprofit organization. We are 8 years old. So we've been out here for a while. Ron has been holding down this platform so far as catering to the mental health issues that we have and making sure there's a place where people know mental health or seeking mental health is not taboo, but it's cool and it's necessary to keep us, you know, at our best as we navigate what we call life here. Life be life, and as they say, sometimes the math don't math, but utilizing this platform to help people, that's what it's about. So I thank you for being one of the many folks that we've had on here. I hope before the interview is over, you share your information so people can buy your merchandise. Look for you if they're in. You still in West Palm?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Still in
Okay,
West
so you're
Palm.
still Tri-County. Okay. So
Yeah,
people who looking now, tell me something. You have the ability to sell all throughout the state, correct?
absolutely.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And I have agents in Miami, Port St. Lucie. So we cover whole South Florida.
two of my board members are realtors. I love for you all to network and do something. Love for it to happen.
Okay,
And
so
they
let's
also happen to
connect.
be my cousins, so it's a family affair.
Okay, let's make it happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I guess I could drop my Ron. Can you give Ricky my information? Yes. No.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
Ricky is about to give his information out right now, how to get the book and all that information, and he just picked that
Okay.
up. I mean,
Okay.
I think
No, I was
his
talking about
information.
contact
I
information so
think
I
his
can link
information
them.
is on the. His information is on his bio that's right in the file. So
Okay. Bet.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
you don't have to.
And I could also inbox you through my information as well, so
Okay,
you'll have
please
it.
do. And
I
then
got
I'll pass it
Yeah.
on. I'll link y'all and then I'll move out the way because I don't sell properties. I just teach the ugly children until I catch the lotto and
you.
be out.
That's all right.
But thank you so much once again. Gentlemen,
Well,
I'm going
my
to get
pleasure.
off from this side. I'm going to watch from the Facebook side on this drive home. But I had
Okay.
to come on to say hi to my classmate. And thank him so much for being here on behalf of Sisters for Sisters. And thank you, Ron, for doing what you always do. July is our anniversary. This platform, Therapy Thursdays, turns 4 years old the first week in July.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, gentlemen, I'm going to say good night from this side. I'm watching from the Facebook side. Have a good one,
All
everybody.
right.
All
No,
right.
thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So Ricky, I mean, we did all this. I mean, this has been a impactful, informative, 80 something minutes thus far. Um, Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. How do people get that book? What do they need to do? I know, we don't write books just for them to sit on the shelves or sit in the box somewhere. We want people to get them and share them because our written documents are the documents that continue in life, and continue our legacy. So that book is definitely a part of your legacy and part of who you are, what you have contributed to your family, to your community, but also to the whole world. So definitely, how are people getting to that book? What can they do? What do they need to do?
Good question. So, in order to get the book, different ways that you can do it. One, you can go to my website. It's called beyondpetty.com. Very simple, just like the book, beyondpetty.com. And on the website, you can click on the tabs and you can purchase the book in two different formats. One, you can get the ebook, which is on Amazon. The link is also on the website, or you can simply go on the website and get the book, make your purchase. So it's just that simple. The website is beyondpetty.com. You can also get it on Amazon, but for now, I prefer folks just go through the website to get the book. And again, it's a very, very inspirational book. It's about a journey through my life, and the purpose of me writing the book was for me to share my story. I feel like I got an interesting story, and want to end. I think it would motivate you. I think it would inspire you, and most importantly, I think it will let you understand that your circumstances don't dictate who you are, what you can be. So you get the opportunity. Please check out my book. If you're interested in real estate, either you're interested in buying a home, selling a home, or either interested in getting involved in investing, you can check out my other website, which is pettycapitalrealty.com. Or you can simply contact me directly at 561 Always eager to work with other folks and help them generate wealth. But be sure to get my book. Tell your family, tell your friends to get my book. It's a good wealth of knowledge in that book. I think you'll find joy and inspiration in reading it. So don't just buy the book. I want you to actually read it as well.
So, folks, again, we staying with our, really staying with our 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 theme for this year, ordinary people do extraordinary things. Really highlighting the celebrities. Well, as far as I'm concerned, people I feel are celebrities, or everyday people. I
Hmm.
know we spend so much time on people who do not care about. We
Right.
spend a lot of time talking about people that they don't care less if we die tomorrow. They're
Hmm.
not going to show up to our funeral. We spend a lot of time spending so much of our energy talking about what they did and what they didn't do.
Hmm.
And we should spend a little bit more time talking about people that we can put a hand on.
That's right.
People that we can touch
Hmm.
out to, people that can help us. Because Ricky's not here just saying that he's out here looking for ways to help you build that generational wealth, be able to if you're interested in getting a home, how to get the right kind of home that you need.
Hmm.
So and these are fundamental things that me and Tyler were talking about last night. Not getting
Hmm.
our 40 acres and a mule, and then you have to get it yourself. And this is one of the
Right.
home ownership is one of the key of having a 40 acre and a mule idea that
Hmm.
we're talking about.
Hmm.
So
And
again,
for me
let
too, Ron, on that note, before I go too and get out of here, but I just love his story. I mean, you talk about a lot of challenges. A lot of people think that they have to be stuck in a certain season of their lives, or when things are really tough. I mean, you heard he came up from really some of the most toughest conditions and situations, and and for that, brother, I just, like I said, I have such tremendous respect for people who are able to navigate out of the cycle, the system that is, can be so oppressive, and for you to kind of emerge and become a winner. I think that's a shining example of what is possible. And I think that's what you represent on this program today. And so I encourage everyone to get the book, and support, and to just to support each other and be good to each other, because, um, you know, uh, you never know. I know somebody right out there who needs to hear this. They need to hear your message and hear your story, and derive from your story, a real path forward, a better path forward. Do not despair. I know there's a lot of people who have are experiencing in real time a sense of dread, or things aren't going to get better, and you can see in real time a real example of someone who's been able to push through some incredibly difficult and challenging times to become a winner to his family and to his community.
And before we go to, I just want to say thank you to you all, Dr. Ron, Thailand, thank you all for allowing this
No, thank you.
platform and allowing me the opportunity to, share my story. So I
Hmm.
really appreciate you all, man, and continue to keep up the good work, man, and, bringing folks on like myself, man, to bring knowledge to our people, man, because people lack
Yeah,
because of the lack of knowledge. You
that's
don't
right.
have because of the lack of knowledge. So I think what you all doing, man, it exposes a lot, and I think that's where it starts at. So thank you.
Mhm. We appreciate you, brother. All right.
yeah, man. Listen, we just try to do what we try to do, man. Listen, hey, I uh, uh, I'm just happy that you was able to come on, was able to get it worked out. A lot of people say, even to this day, and as we started this, and I'm gonna say this, as we started this season and having guests, our first guest was a Cookman alumni, Kyrie Dennery, right? And I was just thinking yesterday, I was looking on social media and I seen something, a post he posted, and he had me dying laughing for like an hour, man. Just looking at it over and over again, just laughing at his little post that he make, man. And this is what I'm talking about. We want to be so macro, right? And sometimes we should be micro, because we can benefit more. Like this idea of big government. It's really what goes on. Listen, you know what goes on in the rest of Florida, but what really goes on is what goes on in West Palm Beach, and what goes on in your city that you live in is more important than what goes on in all of Palm Beach County, than all the rest of South Florida and Florida. So we have to get back to that root of that, and this is how you get back to it. Being able to bring our people on, people that we know, people that we know they are doing the right thing. Because what I do know that a lot of people will say, we'll wait till you have a problem and just say, oh, let me bring Ricky on here so we can so we asked him a question about when he was doing this and when that happened. And you want to tell him, no, listen, let's don't focus on people and all the negative. Let's always uplift each other. Let's be proud. Let's show other people that we have successes and we can empower ourselves. And that's the way this is the way it's done, by putting people on the platform who have testimonies, who have things to really share, and can help other people. And and so, brother, again, I'm proud of all the stuff you've done and all the things you probably one of those brothers that I definitely look to and say that man is always doing this thing. And as much as I sit on my, sometimes people feel I sit on my judgmental crown or throne. I don't. I have high expectations for the people that associate. That's what I do. It's not I think sometimes people miscalculate how I say, like, oh, you want this and want that. No, I want you to be at the same level that I feel like I am. And I want you to, as a matter of fact, I want you to be at a better level than I am. And I've had that from the young brothers who come from my lineage. I can't at no time, at any time, say, oh man, I don't know what them jokers doing. Every year when I go down the years, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. That's probably all I can remember at this point. So like it. Okay, 2002. I better hold 2002 in them in there too. Get mad at me. But it's when it gets down to there, it's good to see us being successful black men in this society, providing some things that our communities need. And so, the opportunity to get you to come on, brother, and just because I see all the things you're doing, I wanted to be able to get you on our platform and celebrate you and let you celebrate, what you had going on. And it was so great that you had the book, and so it gave us a great opportunity to say, hey, let me get you on here and get to talking and be able to advertise your book and be able to celebrate you and let other people who watch my platform out, who going to see this on reruns on all these different YouTube. I mean,
I don't know. You're frozen.
not YouTube, on all these different Facebook channels. And with that being said, I know me and Talon got to go to our next gig. Our next gig, this is a rough business out here. Again, give you some final words, Ricky. some final words, Ricky, and then we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, man. Again, like I say, man, I really appreciate the platform. So thank you for allowing me to share my story. For those, make sure that you pick up the book. Don't just buy it, also read it. Continue to trust and believe in the Most High, my God. And I love y'all, man. Goodbye.
All right,
Peace.
brother.
All right.
Peace.
Everybody, we'll see you here next. We'll see you here. Oh my God, we will be every Thursday. Will happen next week. It will be a little bit different than we will have guests, but those guests will be live with me. Talon will be what he will be. Fawn will be what she will be, and those guests will come with me, and we'll interview some of the men of Omega Psi Phi as we are at our conclave in Tampa, and so I'm gonna bring that as a part of, and I think me and Tyler are gonna probably do a little bit more to that, but we're probably gonna be looking for some dads out there and kind of get them on the platform next week on every Thursday, maybe even to just give some testimonies about their experience of being a father, because this is still Fatherhood Month. we sometimes only get pushed around and say it's only Father's Day, but in Father's Day in the month of June is Fatherhood Month. So we will still be continuing as we continue to start on our venture of our documentary, Disappearing Fatherhood, Disappearing Fatherhood, through Iron Metropolis films. So, we'll see you all here next week, Therapy Thursday. And I'll be here. Talon will be here, God willing. We might even see Ricky. You might see Ricky again. Come, I might pull him in. He might be standing around, and say, "Come on, get in here. Let's get in here and say something." Um, and what is this? Let me see. Let me know. And some of the sisters can be on too. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. And some of the people from women from Sisters to Sisters will probably come on and do that as well. So we'll see y'all next week. We'll be on location, semi-location. Well, I won't be in the studio. I'll be out and about, but I'll still be a laptop and all that out loud. Ricky, again, thank you. Talon, thank you.
Outstanding. Yeah.
I know Fawn was here as always. Our loyal, as I call her, my therapy apprentice. She was multitasking, mama duty, teacher duties. It's crazy how our careers, me and her careers, have kind of became the same thing, and we're doing different worlds, and so we do the same thing: therapy and education. So and that's funny how friends can do that kind of stuff. So with that being said, good night, folks.
Good night.
One more time. Good
Good night,
night.
all.
Good night. Good night. We'll see y'all here next week on Therapy Thursday.